Good morning, people. It's Friday, 20th of March, 2026, and it's getting on to 0600. We're in the marina at Samana Bay, and we're going to leave today and do the route that you're looking at, which is hopefully to get to St. Thomas. It's a 2-day, 250-mile into the wind, the usual. The good news is that this should be the last of the 250 milers. After this, we'll be in St. Thomas. From there, we can get into the British Virgin Islands very easily. And the next leg will be to St. Martin, which is in the Leeward Islands. But that's really just an overnight. I think it's like 70 or 80 miles maybe. So we're getting there. Getting to the Virgin Islands is a big deal. And the next stop after that, like I said, will be the Leewards. Okay. So here we are up in the left hand side. That big patch of blue where the cursor is, that's Samana Bay on the island of Hispaniola, which the eastern portion is the Dominican Republic. So we're going to come out of there in a few hours. We're going to head for that first waypoint, which has the red circle around it, off the coast, off the eastern coast, and north of the farthest extremity. That's Cape Engano, or Cape Engano. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. And that's the easternmost part of the Dominican Republic. Punta Cana is right around the corner from there, a little south of that, just for reference. So we'll be up north of there, and we're going to head across a piece of water which has a pretty bad reputation. It's called Mona Passage, and usually people cross it much closer to Point Engano. And the reason is that the typical path is to get there's a set of shoals. Let me put those on so you can kind of see them. I have to change a setting to make them more visible. This should do it. Yeah. And let me just zoom in a little bit. Okay, so right in the middle of the screen there, that blue outline is supposed to look like an hourglass on its side, and it's called Hourglass Shoals. And the water around to the north and to the south is very deep, and you can see the depths in there are 200 feet, sometimes less. So that's a huge change in depth, and you get some very wicked currents and wave action if you try to cross those shoals in any kind of weather. So people usually crawl down that coast, headed southeast, till they get just above those shoals, and then they head out into the ocean, clear the shoals where my cursor is there, and then they slant southeast again down to the west coast of Puerto Rico. It may be Mayaguez. Puerto Real has a marina that's become very popular lately. And that's the typical way that people go. And then from there, you get around the southwestern corner, which is Cabo Rojo, and then you've got to transit the southern coast of Puerto Rico. People usually do that in 20 to 40 mile day hops. You finally arrive, over on the east coast, and you've got to, navigate your way through the little islands that are off the east coast of Puerto Rico, and then finally to St. Thomas and the Virgin Islands. So that's the typical route. And as you can see from the red circles, we're not going to do that. We've got a very strong prefrontal system that's headed our way, and then a front is going to hit us. and we're going to take advantage of that. And the winds will be as we cross Mona Passage from the south. So we're not going to go really anywhere near the shoals. We're going to head pretty far north and cross over the north coast of Puerto Rico, as you can see. And so this first waypoint, let me just reset the depth here so I don't get confused. Okay, so the depth here is pretty deep, although it's still part of Mona Passage here. And we're gonna have some waves on our nose, and the wind will be from the south. From our, we'll be heading to the right, on this chart. So the wind will be coming from the bottom towards the top, and the waves will be coming from the right towards the left. The first waypoint that I have indicated here is midnight tonight. So that's hopefully where we'll be. It's about 20 miles, 25 miles. Let's check that. "21 miles north of Cape Engano." And once we get there, we'll really kind of be in Mona Passage proper. Then the next waypoint will be over towards the northwest corner of Puerto Rico, and we hope to make that by noon on Saturday, tomorrow. So that 12-hour span right there is probably the most critical of the trip. That'll be our crossing of Mona Passage, and like I said, we'll be taking a high northerly course. Then from then on, we're going to just be on the north coast of Puerto Rico. We're going to pass the entrance to San Juan Harbor, which is on the north coast right there, and that's a very busy commercial port, so we'll have to be on our toes as we go past. Then clear the northeast corner of Puerto Rico, which is called Cape San Juan, Cabo San Juan, not to be confused with the harbor. And we'll be skimming the tops of some of these islands that lie off the eastern shore of Puerto Rico. And then finally, I'll zoom this up a little so you can see, finally as we get past the north coast of Culebra, which is this island in the middle here, there's a body of water between St. Thomas and Culebra, and that's called Virgin Passage. That'll be the last piece of open water that we have to cross. It's not far, maybe 25 miles. Then we'll be going in to the main harbor right here where the cursor is, and that's a marina. And Water Island is here. There's anchorages all along that western shore. So if we get in as we expect to after dark, this will be on Sunday, we're going to pull in, drop the hook, and then wait until sun up on Monday, and then we'll motor into our marina, Crown Bay Marina. That's where we're headed. So in a nutshell, that's the path. It's pretty straightforward. If you want to read about the conventional way to get across Mona Passage, everybody reads this book by a guy named Bruce Van Sant. It's a really old book, but it does have stuff in there that's interesting and generally useful, not just for Mona Passage, but useful in general. So it's a good book to read. However, we will not be following the program in that book. So that's it in a nutshell. Now let's take a look at Windy and see what the conditions are going to likely be. Okay, Windy. Wind currently south-southeast through Mona Passage. We're up here where the cursor is. It's labeled Samana. It's right about where the marina is. So we'll come out the entrance, down the coast, and then right off the coast. We're not going to come hugging the coast down towards the Cape Engano area, which is the standard way to go, as I said before. Instead, we're going to come directly offshore. If we advance the clock to midnight, we should be here north of Cape Engano. It's 17 knots according to the European model. We flip over to the GFS model, you see 12 knots. GFS is systematically lower in all the wind speeds and wave heights than the European model is for the next several days. So we'll be using the European model to plan, and we'll hope that the GFS model actually happens in real life. Okay, so midnight, 17 knots, gusting into the low 20s, and the wave height 6 feet, so 5 to 7 feet from the east. That's the swell. That's an 8-second period, and there'll also be a wind chop because of that wind, but that wind chop will be coming from the south. So we're going to have a swell from the east and a wind chop from the south at right angles to each other, and I haven't decided whether I think that's a good thing or a bad thing yet. So we'll find out tonight what we think of that. If we advance the clock to Saturday at noon, we should be somewhere off the northwest corner of Puerto Rico, and it looks like it'll still be blowing pretty hard. 20 knots from the southwest, and the gusts way into the 20s here. So we'll be expecting gusts up to 30 knots, and the waves still at 6 feet. So the wave heights will probably stay pretty constant throughout that 12-hour period, but the wind is expected to ratchet up a bit. Then we have to now worry about the front that's coming behind us, which we can start to image if we turn rain and thunder on. There you can see starting to come off the eastern portion of Hispaniola. If we advance the clock to midnight, we should be somewhere off San Juan, maybe in here, just ahead of that front. That front will be hitting us, I think, as we pass in front of San Juan Harbor. And there's not going to be a lot of wind. Waves will be attenuated somewhat and from the northeast. So at this point, the wind and the waves will be pretty diminished from our passage of Mona Passage, but we're going to have to contend with the squall in the front that's going to hit us. Okay, roll the clock forward let's roll it forward to about 6:06. There we go. And I think at 06 we're going to be near this corner, Cape San Juan, Cabo San Juan, right off there. And the maybe just a tiny bit south of there, yeah. And the front, some of that front looks like it'll have passed, and we'll kind of be right in the middle as that front becomes disorganized. You can see the wind behind that is blowing from the north, and the squalls are going to be coming from behind us and coming down the coast following us. 7 knots of wind, 12 gusts, and 4 feet. So wind and wave wise, not so bad, but we've got the front and the associated squalls with that coming behind us. Then by noon, or let's say there's 1700, we should be somewhere maybe in the Virgin Passage right out here. 13 knots from the north, gusting 18, and 4 foot swell from the north. So that's the picture of the route and the weather that we're going to expect. Again, the trip is kind of front loaded. The first half of the trip, getting across Mona Passage, is going to be a washing machine. And then once we get across Mona Passage, sea state and wind should diminish, but we're going to have to contend with the front that's coming in behind us and potential for squall action. Hopefully we can make the trip all the way out there and get into the marina on Sunday, but if we can't, we're backed up with Water Island as a anchorage where we can hang out overnight. So that's easy and should be manageable coming in there at night. It's very popular anchorage, so there may be a lot of boats anchored there when we pull in, but we don't need much. We just need a little patch of sand to drop our hook for a few hours until the marina opens on Monday, should we come in too late on Sunday to get into the marina. Okay, so that's the plan. I'll see you in a few hours.